Whitney here. Today we're going to read the newest Captain Underpants book called The Adventures of Captain Underpants, 25th Anniversary Edition with all new Dogman comic. So, let's see, how do I say? So first, before we begin the story, I would like to thank the person who I told my channel to. Her name is Reese, but we call her Reese's Pieces, so yeah. Reese, if you are watching this video, please tell me back on school. So yeah, goodbye. So, well, not goodbye. We're gonna read this first. So these are like all the chapters. Chapter 1, George and Harold. Meet George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. Flower shop. Pick your own roses. George and Harold were best friends. They had a lot in common. They lived right next door to each other, and they were both in the same 4th grade class at Jerome Elementary School. George and Harold were usually responsible kids. Whenever anything had happened, George and Harold were usually responsible. But don't get the wrong idea about these two. George and Harold were actually very nice boys, no matter what everyone else thought. They're good, sweet, and lovable. Well, okay, maybe they weren't so sweet and lovable, but they were good nonetheless. Flower shop. Pick our noses. It's just that George and Harold each had a silly streak a mile ago. Usually, that silly streak was hard to control. Sometimes it got them into trouble, and once it got them into big trouble. But before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2, Trios Comics, Inc. After a hard day of cracking jokes, pulling pranks, and causing mayhem at school, George and Harold like to rush to the old trios in George's backyard. Inside the trios were 2 big old fluffy chairs, a table, a cupboard crammed with junk food, and a padlock crate filled with pencils, stacks, and stacks of paper. Luckily for the boys, the secretary at Jerome Horwood's elementary school was much too busy to keep an eye on the copy machine. So whenever they got the chance, George and Harold would sneak into the office and run off several hundred copies of their latest Captain Underpants adventures. After school, they sold their homemade comics on the playground for 50 cents each. So this is one of the comics that they need. Chapter 3, The Adventures of Captain Underpants, written by George Beard and cartoons by Harold Hutchins. Well, there might be some words spelled wrong here, so please don't copy these words, okay? The Really Cool Adventures of Captain Underpants, written by George Beard. Drawn, but it's not a word, don't copy that. Drawn by Harold Hutchins. It was a time of darkness and despair for planet Earth. Bad guys had taken over the streets and other superheroes, like superheroes, don't copy that, and the world were too old to fight evil. Haha, hey! Then along came a new improved extra strength superhero. Tra-la-la. What's up in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a egg salad sandwich. No way, I'm Captain Underpants. Captain Underpants was faster than a speeding waistband, more powerful than boxer shorts, and able to leap tall buildings without getting wetty. Tra-la-la. Night and day, Captain Underpants watched over the city, fighting for truth, justice, and Dada's pre-shrunk economy. Meanwhile, at a nearby elementary school, turn the page. It was Stinky Taco Surprise Day at the cafeteria. Everybody hated it so much, they all threw it away. Soon, the cafeteria food came to life. I am the Incredible Hulk. The monster ran around the school, eating everything in sight. Munch. Help! The inedible Hunk just ate up 50 folding chairs and the gym teacher. Oh no, not the folding chairs. This looks like a job for Captain Underpants! Tra-la-la! Captain Underpants shot lots of underwears at the monster, but it didn't do any good. Munch, munch. So they just eat. Let's see what happens. So, Captain Underpants took off running. That inedible hunk chased him. Grr, help! And chased him. Finally, the inedible hunk got too tired and thirsty to chase Captain Underpants. How about a nice drink of water? So the monster took a long drink from a shiny white bowl. Gulp, gulp. When suddenly, flash, hooray for Captain Underpants! And so the inedible hoax got flashed away and was never heard from again. Tra-la-la, the end. Well, not the end of the whole story. Just that part. Don't miss our next exciting adventure, Captain Underpants and the attack of the talking toilets. Coming soon to a playground near you. Chapter 4. Mean old Mr. Krupp. Do you see that guy looking at the window up there? That's Mr. Krupp, the principal. Now, Mr. Krupp was the meanest, sourest old principal in the whole history of Jerome Horwitz Elementary School. He hated laughter and singing. He hated the sound of children playing at recess. In fact, he hated children altogether. And guess which two children Mr. Krupp hated most of all? If you guessed George and Howard, you're right. Mr. Krupp hated George and Howard. He hated their pranks and their wisecracks. He hated their silly attitudes and their constant giggling. And he especially hated those awful Captain Underpants comic books. I'm going to get those boys one day, Mr. Krupp vowed. One day, very, very soon. Chapter 5. One day, very, very soon. Remember when I said that George and Howard's silly streak got them into big trouble? Got them into big trouble once? Well, this is the story of how that happened and how some huge pranks and to blackmail had turned their principal into the coolest superhero of all time. It was the day of the big football game between the Horwitz Knuckleheads and the Steubenville Stinkbugs. The bleachers were filled with fans. Jerome Horwitz Elementary. See our big football game today. Oh yeah, and Neo here. The cheerleaders ran onto the field and shook their pom-poms over their heads. A fine black dust drifted out of their pom-poms and settled all around them. "Give me a K," shouted the cheerleaders. "K," repeated the fans. "Give me an N," shouted the cheerleaders. "N," repeated the fans. "Give me an achoo," sneezed the cheerleaders. Achoo, repeated the fans. Achoo, achoo, achoo. The cheerleaders sneezed and sneezed and sneezed some more. They couldn't stop sneezing. "Hey," shouted a fan in the bleachers. "Somebody sprinkled black pepper into the cheerleaders' pom-poms." "I wonder who did that," asked another fan. The cheerleaders stumbled off the field, sneezing and dripping with mucus, as the marching band members took their places. But when the band began to play, steady streams of bubbles began blowing out of their instruments. Bubbles were everywhere, up and down the field, everywhere. Up and down the field, the marching band slipped and slid, leaving behind a thick trail of wet bubbly foam. Just wait a minute. So, "Hey," shouted a fan in the bleachers. Somebody poured bubble bath into the marching band's instrument. "I wonder who did that." Achoo, achoo. Soon the football team took the field. The knuckleheads kicked the ball. Up, up, up went the ball. Higher and higher it went. The ball sailed into the clouds and kept right on going until nobody can see it anymore. "Hey," shouted a fan in the bleachers. "Somebody filled the game ball with helium." "I wonder who did that," asked another fan. But the missing ball didn't make any difference, because at that moment, the knuckleheads were rolling around the field, scratching and itching like crazy. "Hey," shouted the coach. "Somebody replaced our deep heating muscle rub lotion with Mr. Prankster's extra scratchy itching cream." "We wondered who did that," shouted the fans in the bleachers. The whole afternoon went on much the same way, with people shouting everything from, "Hey, somebody put sea monkeys in the lemonade," to, "Hey, somebody glued all the bathroom doors shut." Before long, most of the fans in the bleachers had gotten up and left. The big game had been forfeited, and everyone in the entire school was miserable. Jerome Horwood's Elementary. "Boy, our feet smell bad." Everyone, that is, except for two giggling boys crouching in the shadows beneath the bleachers. "Those were our best pranks yet," laughed Howard. "Yep," chuckled George. "They'll be hard to top, that's for sure." "I just hope we don't get busted for this," said Howard. "Don't worry," said George. "We covered our tracks really well. There's no way we'll be busted." Chapter 6. Busted. The next day at school, an announcement came over the loudspeakers. "George Beard and Howard Hutchins, please report to the Principal Krupp's office at once." "Uh-oh," said Howard. "I don't like the sound of that." "Don't worry," said George. "They can't prove anything." George and Howard entered Principal Krupp's office and sat down on the two chairs in front of his desk. The two boys had been in this office together countless times before. But this time was different. Mr. Krupp was smiling. "As long as George and Howard had known Mr. Crab and never ever seen him smile. Mr. Crab knew something. "I see you boys at a big game yesterday," said Mr. Crab. No," said George. "We aren't feeling well." Yeah, Howard stammered nervously. Well, we went home." "Oh, that's too bad," said Mr. Crab. Said Principal Crab. "You boys missed a good game." George and Howard quickly glanced at each other, goofed, and tried hard not to go guilty. "Lucky for you, I have a videotape of the whole thing," Mr. Crab said. He turned on the television in the corner and pressed the play button on the VCR. A black and white image appeared on the TV screen. It was an overhead shot of George and Howard sprinkling pepper into the cheerleaders' pom-poms. Next came a shot of George and Howard pouring liquid bubble bath into the marching band's instruments. "How do you like the pre-game show?" asked Mr. Crab with a devilish grin. George eyed the television screen in terror. He couldn't answer. Howard's eyes were glued to the floor. He couldn't look. The tape went on, revealing all of George and Howard's behind-the-scenes antics. By now, both boys were eyeing the floor, screaming nervously and dripping with sweat. Mr. Crab turned off the TV. "You know," he said, "ever since you boys came to the school, it's been one prank after another. First, you put dissected frogs in the jello salad at the parent-teacher banquet. Then you made snow in the cafeteria. Then you rigged all the intercoms so they play weird AI Yankovic songs full blast for 6 hours straight. For 4 long years, you two have been running amok in the school. And I've never been able to prove anything until now." Mr. Crab had the videotape in his hand. "I took the liberty of installing tiny video surveillance cameras all around the school. I knew I'd catch you two in the act one day. I just didn't know it would be so easy." We'll read chapter 7 next.